students. This is Mr. H, and I am going to walk you through the details and kind of show you how to do some things for this Honors Pre-Calculus Chapter 6 area project. So the document that you can see on my screen right now is linked in your Google Classroom, and so you'll have access to this. But I'm going to kind of walk you through the directions. So first off, the goal of this project is that you are going to kind of use what we've learned so far in Chapter 6, law of sines, law of cosines, and especially the area formulas, either Heron's formula or just that manipulation of the 1/2 base times height formula to find the area of oblique triangles. And we're going to do that by you're going to identify some non-rectangular polygon shape using Google Maps. So maybe you want to use a state, maybe you want to look at an overhead view of your house and find the area of your roof, or maybe there's a park in your neighborhood, or maybe even some famous building or landmark. All right. And then we're going to show you how to use some online tools, how you can measure distance in Google Maps to find the lengths of some sides, and how to use an online protractor to do the work of measuring angles. All right. So as you can see here, due date is listed Friday, March 11th, and there'll be some information about grading down below, but I ultimately want to walk through the directions part here, all right? So for those of you who are kind of a little bit more visual learner, maybe these directions don't quite click for you, so hopefully this video will be useful in you finding your way through this project, all right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Google Map, all right? And I've determined that I'm going to take the state of Utah, right? This is a non-rectangular polygon shape. Polygon just means many-sided. We want to stay away from something that has curves in it. So the state of Utah has nice straight lines defining its borders, which is going to help me out quite a bit. All right. So for those of you who maybe want to look at a building, what I would recommend is that you switch to satellite mode. That's going to allow you to see individual buildings better. In terms of my state of Utah, I really don't need that, so I'm going to go back to just the normal map view, and that's going to work just fine for me, right? So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a screenshot. Now, I'm working on my MacBook, but you guys have Chromebooks. But in terms of taking a screenshot, it's very similar, all right? So for you guys to take a screenshot, you're going to press your Shift button, your Control button, and then what's known as your Show Windows button. And that is the very middle button on the very top row of keys on your keyboard, all right? It kind of looks like a box with two lines on the right side of it. If we go back to our directions, it's the button that has this icon on it right here. That's your Show Windows button, all right? So again, you're going to press Shift, Control, and then your Show Windows button. So I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot here as well. So I'm just going to screenshot the outline of the state of Utah. All right. And that's going to be saved to my desktop. For you guys, students out there, any screenshot that you take, it will be saved in your downloads folder. All right. And you should have been able to take a partial screenshot as well, just like I did, by choosing the box or the icon that kind of looks like a box with a plus sign in the corner. That's your partial screenshot icon. So you can just take a screenshot of what you need right there. All right. So we have what we need right now from Google Maps. All right. But I'm going to encourage you to leave this window open because we're going to come back to it in a little bit when we need to measure some distances. And we'll allow Google Maps to help us out with that, okay? So the next thing that we are going to do, we've gone to Google Maps. You've got a screenshot of your shape. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a diagram, all right? So in order for us to find the area of this non-rectangular polygon, again, for me, the state of Utah, I'm going to need to divide this shape into triangles. Now, for the requirements of this project, we would like you to divide this shape into at least 4 triangles, and at least 2 of those need to be oblique triangles. So you are welcome to use some right triangles, but at least 2 of your triangles need to be oblique, all right? So in order for us to create a diagram, and this will be part of what you turn in for your project, we are going to go to your Google Drive, all right? Your Google Drive is where all of your Google Docs live. You can organize things there, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to press this new button, and this is where we can create Google Docs, Sheets, or so on. But in this case, we want to go to More, and you're going to see the very first item is what we're going to use here. All right, we want to create a Google drawing, okay? So we'll give that a moment to pull up. All right, now the first thing that I would recommend is that you just rename this so that you can find it really easy. So I'm just going to title this Area Project. And that way if I need to find it later on, I can really easy. So you name it whatever you want, but again, just make sure you rename it. Just might make it easier to find. All right. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to insert that screenshot that we just took. All right. So I'm going to press or go to my insert command on my menu here. And then I'm going to go to image, and I'm going to go ahead and choose upload from computer. Now, when you guys do this, it should automatically take you to your folder where your screenshot was saved. Again, for you, it'll be in your downloads folder. For me, mine was on my desktop. So here's my image right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just open that up. All right. Now I can resize this if I would like. All right. By just pulling on the box, I can kind of move it around however I would like. So maybe I want to center it here. Okay. Now, within Google Drawing, this is where we are going to kind of do our work in terms of dividing this shape into some triangles, all right? So to do that, we're going to go ahead and press on this line tool, and I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line on the borders to start, okay? And then right here, I can go ahead and make this line thicker. So if I wanted a really thick line, which I would recommend, that you kind of make it a little bit thicker. That'll be helpful for kind of where we're going in a little bit. You can change the color, whatever you want to do. I'm going to leave my lines a solid black, all right? And so let's create another line. And every time I want to draw a line, I just need to click on that line tool. And notice now that all my lines are thick, just like what I selected here a moment ago. All right, so again, I'm going to draw some lines around the state of Utah. Just pressing that line tool again. All right, now I need to get some triangles in here. So again, I need 4 triangles and I need 2 oblique triangles. So let's do this. Let's create a right triangle here, kind of in the top part of Utah. And then, let's go ahead and we'll make this an oblique triangle right in here. That's probably not quite a right angle, so I should be good there. And then I need another oblique triangle. Now, as you are drawing your triangles, I would recommend that you choose some points that are going to be really easy to measure from. So this corner part of Utah is a really easy point for me to work from. And I need 2 more triangles, and I need at least 1 more oblique triangle. So let's go ahead and draw a triangle from here to this corner. All right. So now I have 4 triangles in the state of Utah. But now I've got 4 triangles, right? 2 of them are oblique, so we have 2 oblique triangles, 2 right triangles, all right? Now at this point, I'm also gonna go ahead and screenshot this image. We're gonna need this in a little bit when we go to measure angles. So I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this diagram with my lines drawn on it, okay? Again, that's gonna go for you guys to your downloads folder. But now I'm going to go back to Google Maps, all right? So what I need to do next is I need to measure the sides of my triangles, all right? So we're going to go to Google Maps. And to measure distance in Google Maps, it's very simple. I can just double click, right? I'm going to put my cursor on a point on the corner of the state of Utah. I'm going to double click it, and you'll see it brings up this menu. And I am then going to say measure distance. That will then allow me to click on another point on my map. So if I wanted to kind of just measure this north border of Utah, you'll see down here it tells me, hey, this distance is 246.1 kilometers or 152.9 miles. Now, I can work with either one of these distances. It's just going to be important that whichever one I choose, I stay consistent in. So if you want to go kilometers, that's fine. If you want to go miles, that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and go miles. So this side is 152.9 miles. So I'm going to go back to my Google drawing now, and I'm going to go ahead and add that into my drawing so that I have that information later on. So I'm going to do that by just choosing a text box, and I'm just going to draw a text box right here on this north border, right? And I know that was 152.9 miles. Let's go ahead and make this text box a little bigger. Let's go ahead and slide it up here a little bit. And there's legible. So I can use that number now later on when I need it. All right. Now let's go back to Google Maps. Let's measure one more here. So I'm going to close out this measurement window. I'll get rid of my line. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure again. So let's go from this corner to this corner right here. Oops. All right, I clicked on the wrong spot, but I'm going to go ahead and just drag it right up to that point. Works out pretty nicely. And this gives me a measurement. Again, I chose the miles, so I'm going to go 319.8 miles. So let's go back to my Google drawing document. And I just forgot my measurement, sorry. 319.8. All right, so let's go ahead and draw another text box in here. And again, I had 319.8 miles. And now, just because I'm kind of like, I want it to be easy to see where my numbers are. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to rotate this around so that I can just run this text box parallel with that side. You don't have to do that, but that's just what Coach H is going to do here for this example. All right. So you guys would then go back to your Google Maps and you'd continue to measure distances. Again, once you kind of have it on there, I can just choose those points and kind of move it around, right? So this side would be 170 miles, right? And then I could drag over here and measure this side, all right? And again, you're going to measure all the sides of your triangles just using that measure tool on Google Map. And then go back to your drawing, and you're going to add those to your diagram, all right? So now the next part, we can measure sides really easy in Google Maps, but now we need to measure some angles, right? We need some angle information in order for us to be able to use the law of sines, law of cosines, right? Whatever we want to find. So what we're going to use is an online protractor. So let me go back to my directions here, and you'll see here in step number 5, right? We are going to use this online protractor. So you can click on this link right here, and that is going to take you to this website right here that's got an online protractor that we can utilize, okay? Now, what I'm going to recommend that you do is we are going to upload an image, right? We need something that we can measure angles of, and that's why we took a screenshot after we drew the lines on our diagram, all right? So I'm going to click here on Choose File, and I'm going to choose my screenshot that has my diagram with the black lines drawn on it, just marking where my triangles are, all right? And so I'm going to go ahead and choose Open, right? And you can see that my screenshot of Utah with those lines representing the triangles are here on our online protractor. All right. Now, this is also why I recommend you kind of thicken those black lines because you can see it makes it really easy to see these lines from behind my protractor. All right. Now, this protractor, I can go ahead and drag it around. So I'm going to measure kind of this really skinny angle here in kind of the middle part of Utah. So I'm going to put my protractor on one of the corners of the angle. All right. Now you'll notice if I come out here to the side, it also allows me to drag this protractor, right? So I can move this protractor, say I had an angle here and I wanted to measure this way, right? Again, I can move this protractor around pretty easily, okay? So I kind of got myself in a little bit of a jam here. So let's go ahead and kind of rotate things back, okay? So I'm going to move this protractor into the area that I want it to be. And now to measure the angle, I'm going to come out to the side and you're going to notice that this little cross pops up, right? When I'm on the protractor, I have this arrow. But then when I come out here, I get this little plus sign. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. And that's going to put a kind of an angle measuring tool on my protractor. And I need one more of those. So I'm going to come up over here because, again, this is the side that I want to measure. This is my angle. And I'm going to go ahead and click right here. And again, notice those are right on my side. So if I need to adjust these a little bit, I can. So let's say we want to go about right there. That one looks pretty good. And you can see right here that my angle is 14 degrees. Okay, so if that was the angle that I wanted to find in my protractor, I just found that really easy. All right, so now let's go back to my Google drawing and let's add that information onto my diagram. So again, I'm going to create a text box. I'm going to stick it over here to start. I'll move it in a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and go 14. Now, my degree sign, I'm going to come up here to Format. And I'm going to choose text, and I want a superscript, and I'm just going to use a lowercase o, and that will be my degree symbol, right? And just because I'm kind of picky, I'm going to kind of bring this in, and then I'm going to move this over here inside my angle, and there's my 14-degree angle, okay? Now, you need to measure at least one angle, but I would recommend you kind of measure a few angles so that you have some things to work with in terms of finding your area of the triangles, and you are going to have to verify the measure of one angle using your law of cosines. Okay, so let's go back to our online protractor. Let me just again, just for demonstration purposes, let's say that I wanted to measure this. Well, let's check this angle right here. Right, wasn't quite sure if that was a right angle. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate my, let's go ahead and rotate, drag this up, right? Let's rotate this around here. There we go. This is what I wanted to measure. Okay. And let's go ahead and move this point along this line. That was pretty good there. And then I'm going to go ahead, got to get away from, there it is, my drag, and I want to measure this angle. All right, now right now you'll notice my angle says 277 degrees, and there's no way that that's a 277 degree angle, but it's measuring just around there, right? So I know my angle is actually less than that. Now if that happens, I can just take, and I'm just going to swap these. So let's move this one here, and let's move this one here. Oh, it's still measuring 277 that way as well. All right, anyway, well, I know that my angle then is just 360 minus 277 degrees, right? I've got the angle in here. So if I take 360 minus 77 degrees, I get an 83-degree angle, right? And then I'll go back to my Google drawing. I'm going to choose my text box, right? And we said 83-degree angle. All right, so this is your example of how you are going to create your diagram, measure your sides, and measure your angles utilizing the online tools that we have provided for you. Okay, now let's go back to our directions document and talk about what we need to do to finish up. All right. So in terms of your diagram, right, when you've got all the side measurements on here and whatever angles you've chosen to measure, this will be able to be uploaded to the Google Classroom, and you'll turn this in for a portion of your grade, okay? Now, the next part is step number 6 here, all right? So now you need to pull out a piece of paper. You need to use the law of sines to verify one side length, law of cosines to verify one side length, and the law of cosines to verify one angle measure, all right? Each of those will be a part of your overall project grade. And you're just, again, going to do this on a piece of paper. Then you're going to find the area of all of the triangles in your diagram. So in my diagram, I would have 4 triangle areas that I need to find. And I can use the information that I just found on Google Maps and from the measure distance and the online Protractor. And I'm just going to, again, find the area of those triangles using either of the formulas that we learned in this chapter, all right? And then you're going to finish out by finding the total area of your figure, okay? Now that brings us to step number 7, right? You're going to drop that work into the Google Classroom. So both the diagram, your Google Drawings file, all right, and a picture of your math work, but make sure that that picture is easy for us to read. So make sure that you wrote dark enough that you didn't really use a really light pencil, and make sure that the picture is clear enough that we can read it, all right? So you're going to submit the drawing and your work to the Google Classroom, and then you're done, right? So step number 8, enjoy spring break, all right? No math homework over the weekend. And when you come back after spring break, we'll be back at it with the second half of Chapter 6 and vectors. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.